David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Today we're talking about the budget policy statement, and I just want to first of all start by acknowledging the pain and suffering that our whole country, and especially the people of Christchurch, have suffered in recent weeks. And the budget policy statement debate today has tended to focus on the Christchurch earthquake and the economic approaches that could be taken to dealing with such an issue. And it will be a focal point of the budget, no doubt. But I think we also need to be mindful that fundamental economic policy doesn't change. What is right for an economy and what is right for the New Zealand economy will always be the same solution. And it is the solution that the National Party, along with its coalition colleagues, will be promoting through the budget. It is not the solution that the Labour Party and Green parties have been trying to promote through this House today. And that fundamental debate around economic policy has been crucial to this debate around the budget policy statement today. On the one hand, you've heard good, solid, strong economic policy from the National Party, and on the other hand, you've heard a distributive, slightly communist approach from the Labour Party that went into full-blown communism from the Green Party as a result of how to deal with such an issue. But if we go back to what is good, solid economic policy, we must look at what you need to do for a strong country to go forward. And you need savings and investment. You need a country that saves money, that invests in its future, and that provides for its people so that it's got the signals and incentives so that people can take advantage of their opportunities, and also provides the results so that the country can take, through its tax system, the fruits of labour and use that money for social distribution. You can't have social spending without income coming into the government. And that income needs to be promoted. The more you promote that income, the more government money it has to spend, the more social spending you can make. Very simple economics. On the left, their equation of economics is that the government can take more in the first instance before actually letting the economy grow. And they believe that by taking more, then you can redistribute it. Now that is a very circular and very cyclical argument in the sense that it keeps on going inward. We have a much more open approach that looks at having a greater economy, therefore providing greater government spending, rather than greater government spending at the initial point of contact, which cannot go any bigger because effectively you're strangling the economy. And that's what the Labour Party did to this economy in our best of years. It strangled the New Zealand economy. It put us in recession before the rest of the world. And it did do that, and then we had a world recession on top of that, which made New Zealand have to go through some very difficult economic times. Yes. Now, the National Party, in coalition with the Maori Party, ACT Party and United Future, set about a plan of how to build this country stronger. And we were making the first steps to achieving this. Now, we've got a natural disaster that nobody could have predicted, that is on a scale beyond any comprehension, but it doesn't actually mean you have to change the plan. The plan and answer will always be the same, because that is the response that you need to do because it's fundamental economics. Now, the Labour Party says you haven't got a plan. Well, that's just patently not true. We have a plan which is based on savings, investment, and therefore building a stronger economy. We want growth, which will mean that we have more money for the government to spend through its tax system. And that is the nature of it, rather than the Labour approach, which is just to tax, and then hopefully work its way through. So New Zealand has a plan. We have a good economic plan. It's a plan that doesn't need to change as a result of what has happened in Christchurch, but we need to be mindful of what happened in Christchurch, and of course the budget will consider that in our priorities of spending, and there will be some balance between that and also the need to increase debt, as everybody would expect, because such a natural disaster had not been anticipated and could not be anticipated by a country going forward. But it's that important approach of how you build an economy, that you concentrate on the tradable sector, that you don't see what happened under the previous Labor government when the tradable sector shrank in the 5 years from 2005 to 2009, where the non-tradable sector grew by 15% over that time, where the previous Labor administration increased its investment in government administration, but not in how we pay our way in the world. And there was a large increase in borrowing by New Zealand. Our debt to the rest of the world increased by about $60 billion to over $160 billion. And that blowout in debt put a handbrake on our economy and the productive parts, especially of our economy and its growth. So we need to change that. We need to get back to a place where we have savings and investment, and that is the crucial aspect of what the National Party has been doing over the last year or so. We've also got to be mindful of the fact that we have large assets within the government portfolios, and if you look at what happened with the budget policy statement, there was also the 2010 investment statement of the Government of New Zealand. Now, this is a new document in the sense that we haven't had these in the past, but shows the assets that the Crown possesses and the potential returns on them in the formats that have been put together in this booklet. And that's a starting point for New Zealanders to look at where their investments are and what rates of return they do get on in the investments. And that can be a crucial point as we go forward in looking at the government's role in investing and delivering a stronger economy. If you look at that, there's about $223 billion of assets that the government held. Now, we're looking at ways in which that can be further enhanced in the sense that there are opportunities for New Zealanders to potentially invest in making our economy stronger and those assets stronger. And it's one of the things that we look to do in the future as we work towards providing that savings and investment culture. Just like the tax issue, one raised many times by the Labor Party today, is crucial in providing that investments and savings culture. New Zealanders now have the incentive out there to get a good education, to work hard, to take advantage of the jobs that are in this country and this region, and then that income will then be coming through to the government through the tax system, which we can spend on social and other spending. Contrary to the Labor point of view that you keep New Zealanders at low incomes and then you control their destiny and therefore you control government spending, which in the end of the day will never lead to a stronger country and will actually lead to a country that cannot manage and deal with natural disasters such as you have had it in Christchurch. So crucially, when we look at it, the Labor approach would never actually enable you to deal with a natural disaster as we have had. It would be an approach that would actually stifle the economy further in these times, and we need to look at a long-term approach which will actually grow the economy and provide for the way to deal with this issue and also to build a stronger future for New Zealanders. And that's the crucial part of what this budget and the budget policy statement, which will be amended to reflect the natural circumstances that we have as a country now, but effectively the heart of it is the same, in the sense that that economic policy that is solid, strong and effective will be employed in the budget as we come forward. And that economic policy is universal. It's not designed to just take into account one situation. It is a policy which will enable us to provide the opportunity for New Zealanders. It will enable this country to grow. And through long-term growth, we can pay for the effects of natural disasters such as Christchurch. Not only can we pay for those effects, but we can actually grow our economy further so that New Zealanders have those opportunities and we can have the prosperity that we need in this country to deliver the social services and other assets that the people want. So effectively, the budget coming up this year will be an important one for New Zealand. It will be part of that portrayal of how we deal with economic issues, and that is the fundamental debate that we've had in this House today. But let us remember that there is an answer, there is a plan, and that plan is the one that can work. The opposition will try and put out something else which isn't a plan, it isn't an answer, and it has failed in the past, as you have seen from the previous Labor government. So the choice is quite stark, and that's the fundamental choice of economics that this House represents.